The alarm rang through the bridge of the Krevesh flagship Eternal Dominion. Supreme Commander Vokhtar sat in his command chair, watching the stars beyond the viewing screen. He had been in space for 30 years. He had conquered 40 systems. Nothing surprised him anymore. Supreme Commander, his tactical officer called out. We have detected an unknown vessel entering our territory. Vokhtar barely moved. This happened often. Small ships crossed the border by mistake. They always surrendered quickly. The Krevesh Empire was too powerful to challenge. Size? He asked. Small, Supreme Commander. Frigate class. Energy signature is strange. Not in our database. Vokhtar nodded. Send standard intercept formation. Demand their surrender. 20 Krevesh warships moved into position. They surrounded the unknown vessel like hunters circling prey. Each ship was 3 times larger than the small frigate. Their weapons were armed and ready. Inside the human ship Indomitable Spirit, Captain Daywan studied the situation. His bridge was much smaller than the Krevesh flagship. Only 15 crew members worked at their stations. But everyone was calm. They had trained for this. Captain, we have 20 hostile ships surrounding us, Lieutenant Hana reported. She was young, but brilliant. Her fingers moved quickly across her tactical display. They're using standard encirclement pattern. Very predictable. Any communication? Daywan asked. Yes, sir. They're demanding our immediate surrender. They say resistance is useless. Daywan smiled slightly. Open a channel. Let me talk to them. The screen flickered. Vokhtar's face appeared. His skin was gray, his eyes were yellow, and his expression showed no emotion. Behind him, dozens of Krevesh officers worked at their stations. Unknown vessel, Vokhtar said. His voice was deep and formal. You have entered Krevesh space without permission. Surrender now or be destroyed. Greetings, Daywan replied calmly. I am Captain Daywan of the United Earth Navy. We are on a peaceful reconnaissance mission. There seems to be a misunderstanding about our position. According to galactic charts, this region is neutral space. Vokhtar's eyes narrowed. Human. He glanced at one of his officers. The officer checked his computer and nodded nervously. Supreme Commander, the officer whispered. Intelligence reports suggest humans are unpredictable in combat. They do not follow standard tactics. Vokhtar waved his hand dismissively. Propaganda. Every species thinks they are special. He turned back to the screen. Captain Daywan, this space belongs to the Krevesh Empire. Your charts are wrong. You have 10 minutes to power down your weapons and surrender your ship. The communication ended. Daywan turned to his crew. Dr. Yuna, what can you tell me about the Krevesh? Dr. Yuna stepped forward. She was a specialist in alien cultures. She had studied the Krevesh for years. They are very rigid, Captain. Everything follows rules and hierarchy. They believe surrender is weakness. If we give up our ship, they will take us prisoner. If we fight, they expect a traditional battle. What if we do neither? Daywan asked. Yuna smiled. They will be very confused. Lieutenant Hana, analysis? Hana pulled up her tactical screen. Their formation is perfect by textbook standards. Every ship is exactly where it should be. They're watching all our traditional escape routes, but they're not creative. They assume we'll run straight out or fight directly. Chief Tae-min, can we run? The chief engineer looked up from his station. His hair was messy and he had oil stains on his uniform. Not fast enough, Captain. They'd catch us in 30 seconds, but I can do something interesting with our stealth system in the local asteroid field. Daywan nodded. Good. I want to send them a message. We're not prey. We're not going to surrender. But we're also not going to start a war. We're going to show them what human engineering can do. 5 minutes remaining, Captain, Hana said. Open the channel again, Daywan ordered. Vokhtar appeared on screen. He looked slightly annoyed. Have you decided to surrender? With respect, Supreme Commander, we cannot surrender. We have done nothing wrong. We are leaving your space now. We hope there will be no conflict between our peoples. If you try to leave, we will fire upon you. That would be unfortunate, Daywan said calmly. I suggest you reconsider. He ended the transmission. On the Eternal Dominion, Vokhtar's tactical officer spoke urgently. Supreme Commander, the human ship is moving. They're heading toward the asteroid field at full speed. Fire warning shots, Vokhtar commanded. Energy beams flashed across space. They hit near the Indomitable Spirit, missing by only a few meters. The human ship shook from the near impacts. Shields at 85%, Tae-min reported. Those weren't really warning shots. They were trying to hit us. Noted, Daywan said. Execute plan rabbit hole now. The indomitable spirit suddenly changed direction. Instead of flying around the asteroids, it flew into them. The ship twisted and turned through the rocky field with impossible precision. Taman had calculated every movement perfectly. They're entering the asteroid field. The Krivesh tactical officer shouted. Should we pursue? Vokhtar hesitated. Flying through asteroid fields was dangerous. Krivesh doctrine said to go around, not through. But letting the human escape would be embarrassing. Send 3 destroyers. Surround the field. They'll have to come out eventually. Deep inside the asteroid field, the indomitable spirit stopped. It positioned itself behind a large, spinning rock. Taman activated special systems. Stealth coding engaged, he announced. We're matching the asteroid's rotation. We look like part of the rock now. The Krivesh ships are scanning the field, Hana reported. But they can't find us. They're getting frustrated. Day 1 watched his screens carefully. How long can we stay hidden? Hours, Taman said. Days if we need to. But I have a better idea. On the Eternal Dominion, Vokhtar was receiving reports. None of them were good. The human ship had vanished completely. His destroyers were flying in circles, finding nothing. His sensors showed only rocks and ice. This is impossible, he muttered. Ships don't just disappear. Intelligence Officer Dralvin approached carefully. Supreme Commander, if I may. The intelligence reports about humans were not propaganda. They really do fight differently. They use their environment. They hide when they should fight. They run when they should surrender. Nothing they do makes sense by our standards. Vokhtar turned to look at him. Are you saying one small human ship can defeat the entire 7th Fleet? I'm saying we may have severely miscalculated, sir. Suddenly, alarms blared across the flagship. The tactical display showed multiple new contacts. Energy signatures were appearing throughout the asteroid field. Dozens of them. They looked like ships powering up their weapons. Sir, we have multiple hostile contacts. The humans must have reinforcements. Vokhtar stood up from his chair. His calm expression finally showed concern. How many? 40. No, 50 contacts. They're everywhere. Inside the indomitable spirit, Taman grinned at his console. Sensor drones deployed, Captain. Each one is broadcasting a fake ship signature. They think we brought an entire fleet. Hana laughed quietly. The Krivesh ships are repositioning. They're going defensive. They think they're outnumbered. Dewan allowed himself a small smile. Now while they're confused, we leave. Quietly. Take us out the back way. The indomitable spirit slipped away through the asteroids, moving in the opposite direction from where the Krivesh expected. By the time Vokhtar realized the other signatures were fakes, the human ship was long gone. Vokhtar stared at his empty tactical display. His hands gripped the arms of his chair. Around him, his officers were silent. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Finally, Vokhtar spoke quietly. That was a human warship. Dralvin nodded slowly. Yes, Supreme Commander. And if the reports are accurate, that was just one ship, one crew. Imagine what they could do with an entire fleet. For the first time in 30 years, Supreme Commander Vokhtar felt uncertain. The Krivesh Empire had never faced an enemy like this before. An enemy that didn't follow the rules. An enemy that turned their own certainty against them. He looked at his tactical officer and gave a command he had never given before. Find that ship. I want to know everything about humans and how they fight. Everything. Vokhtar sat alone in his private chamber. The lights were dim. On his desk, a screen displayed reports about human military capabilities. Most of it seemed impossible. Humans used tactics that made no sense. They attacked from unexpected directions. They retreated when they were winning. They sacrificed small advantages to gain larger ones later. He had spent 3 hours reading. Now he understood why many Krivesh commanders refused to believe the reports. It was easier to call them lies than to accept that an enemy could be so unpredictable. A knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. Enter, he said. Sub-Commander Threnkal stepped inside. He was younger than Vokhtar, still eager to prove himself. Supreme Commander, we have located the human ship again. They are in the Helix Nebula near the old mining station. Vokhtar stood up. How certain are you? Very certain, sir. Our long-range sensors detected their energy signature. They appear to be conducting scans of the region. They don't know we've found them. Good. This time we will not surround them. That gave them too many escape routes. We will use multiple attack groups. Divide our fleet into 6 sections. If they run from one group, they will fly directly into another. Threnkal nodded. A wise strategy, sir. They won't escape this time. Inside the indomitable spirit, Lieutenant Hana studied her sensors carefully. She frowned at the readings. Captain, I'm detecting movement. The Krevesh are splitting their fleet. 6 groups approaching from different angles. Daewon walked over to her station. They're learning. Good for them.
How much time do we have?
20 minutes before the first group arrives. 40 minutes before they complete the encirclement. Dr. Yuna, what does this tell us about their commander? Yuna thought for a moment. He's adapting. Most Krevesh commanders would simply bring more ships and try the same tactic again. This one is actually thinking about his previous failure. That makes him dangerous but also predictable in a different way. How so? He's still thinking like a Krevesh. He sees his mistake and corrects it. But he's only correcting within the framework of traditional tactics. He's not thinking creatively. He's thinking more carefully. Daewon smiled. So if we do something completely outside traditional tactics again, he won't expect it. Exactly. Lieutenant Hana, which group is the weakest? Hana checked her display. The Western group. Only 3 ships. 1 destroyer and 2 escorts. They're spread out to cover more area, which means they can't support each other quickly. Chief Taemin, can we take out a destroyer? Taemin looked up from his station. His eyes were bright with excitement. You want to attack? They think we're going to run again. That's why we're going to attack. What do you need? Time and surprise. If I can get close enough, I can use the nebula's radiation to hide our approach. The gases will interfere with their sensors. We hit them hard and fast, then disappear before the other groups arrive. Daewon nodded. Make it happen. The indomitable spirit changed course. It moved deeper into the nebula, where the colorful gases were thickest. The ship's hull was designed to absorb and deflect sensor beams. In the nebula, it became almost invisible. The Krevesh destroyer Relentless moved through space confidently. Its commander, Shipmaster Krell, was certain the human would try to escape. His job was to prevent that. He kept his weapons ready and his shields up. Shipmaster, his sensor operator said, I'm getting strange readings from the nebula. The radiation is interfering with our scans. That's normal in nebulas, Krell replied. Stay alert. The human will try to use it for cover when they run. Yes, sir. 30 seconds later, the indomitable spirit emerged from the nebula at full speed. It was less than a kilometer away from the Relentless, so close that the Krevesh sensors had barely registered it before it opened fire. Taemin had modified the ship's weapons. Instead of firing at the destroyer's shields, they targeted something specific. Asteroids. The nebula was full of small rocks floating in the gas clouds. The human weapons hit these rocks with precise shots. The rocks exploded into fragments. Hundreds of pieces of stone and ice flew toward the Krevesh destroyer at high speed. The shields blocked most of them, but shields worked best against energy weapons. Physical projectiles, especially so many at once, overwhelmed the defensive systems. Fragments hit the Relentless. Small impacts covered the hull. None were fatal, but they damaged sensors, communication arrays, and weapon mounts. Within seconds, the destroyer was partially blind and unable to fight effectively. Follow up, Daewon ordered. The indomitable spirit fired its main weapons. With the destroyer's shields weakened and its systems damaged, the shots hit critical areas. The engine section exploded. The ship went dark and dead in space. Life pods are launching, Hana reported. The crew is evacuating. The ship is destroyed. Time? 45 seconds from first shot to mission complete. The other Krevesh groups are changing course, Hana continued. They're coming to investigate. We have maybe 5 minutes before they arrive. More than enough time. Taemin, back into the nebula. Different direction. Let's disappear again. The human ship vanished into the colorful clouds, leaving only wreckage behind. On the Eternal Dominion, Vokhtar received the news in silence. His officers watched him nervously. Losing a destroyer was bad enough. Losing it in less than a minute was humiliating. They attacked us, Threnkal said quietly. We were hunting them and they attacked us. They used the environment as a weapon, Dralvin added. He had been studying the data. They didn't rely on their ship's firepower alone. They used asteroids, nebula radiation, and surprise. It's brilliant, actually. Vokhtar's jaw tightened. How do we fight an enemy that refuses to fight properly? Perhaps, Threnkal said carefully, we need to stop thinking about proper fighting. The humans clearly don't care about our rules. Are you suggesting we abandon 3,000 years of military tradition? I'm suggesting that tradition is useless against an enemy who doesn't share it, sir. Vokhtar stood up. Bring all ships together. No more splitting the fleet. We stay in formation. If the human attacks again, they'll face our combined firepower. They can't trick all of us at once. Over the next 2 days, the indomitable spirit struck 3 more times. Each attack was different. They used magnetic mines disguised as space debris. They hacked into Krevesh communications and broadcast false orders, causing 2 ships to fly into each other. They even painted false sensor images that made the Krevesh shoot at shadows while the real human ship escaped. Each time, the Krevesh fleet grew more frustrated. They had more ships, more firepower, more resources, but none of it mattered. The humans were like smoke, everywhere and nowhere, impossible to catch. Inside the human ship, the crew worked around the clock. Taman barely slept. He was constantly creating new tricks, new modifications, new surprises. Hana studied every Krevesh response, learning their patterns. Yuna provided insights into their psychology, helping predict their reactions. But Daewon saw the truth. His ship was running low on supplies. His crew was exhausted. They couldn't keep this up forever. They needed to end this confrontation soon, or they would make a fatal mistake. We need a big move, he told his senior officers during a meeting. Something that will convince them to let us leave. Something memorable. What about a direct attack on the flagship? Hana suggested. If we can damage Vokhtar's ship, they might decide we're too dangerous to pursue. Taman shook his head. Their flagship has the best defenses. We'd never get close. What if we don't attack? Yuna said. What if we make them think they've won? Everyone turned to look at her. Explain, Daewon said. The Krevesh respect strength but also value victory. If we let them capture us but in a way that shows we could have escaped, it demonstrates our superiority while allowing them to save face. Then we escape from their custody in a way that's so embarrassing they'll be glad to see us leave. Hana frowned. That's risky. What if they don't let us escape? That's why we need to make it look like an accident, Daewon said slowly. He was beginning to understand Yuna's idea. We fake a malfunction. Let them think they disabled us with a lucky shot. They bring us aboard their flagship. Then we cause chaos and escape. But we do it in a way that makes them look foolish, not defeated. Taman grinned. I can fake a malfunction that looks completely real. And I have some ideas about chaos. It's insane, Hana said. Getting captured on purpose. Yes, Daewon agreed. Which is exactly why the Krevesh will never expect it. Let's prepare. We'll execute the plan in 6 hours. Everyone get some rest. We'll need it. As his officers left, Daewon looked at the star map. Somewhere out there, Vokhtar was planning his next move. The Krevesh commander was learning and adapting. That made him dangerous. But it also made him predictable. Daewon had read the same reports Vokhtar had. He knew the Krevesh valued honor and clear victories. What he was about to do would give them a victory, then snatch it away in the most humiliating way possible. It wasn't kind, but it was necessary, and it would be a lesson the Krevesh Empire would never forget. The indomitable spirit drifted through space. Its engines were dark. Small explosions flickered across its hull. To anyone watching, the ship looked badly damaged. Dead in space. Inside, Taman watched his console with satisfaction. Every explosion was carefully controlled. Every failing system was actually working perfectly. It was a performance, and he was proud of his work. Krevesh fleet approaching, Hana reported. She kept her voice calm, but her hands gripped her console tightly. This plan required perfect timing. They're scanning us. Weapons are charged but not firing. Good, Daewon said. They want to capture us, not destroy us. That's what we're counting on. On the Eternal Dominion, Vokhtar stood before his viewing screen. The human ship looked pathetic. Small fires burned across its surface. It wasn't moving. Is it a trap? He asked. Dralvin studied his sensors carefully. Our scans show genuine damage, Supreme Commander. Their main reactor is failing. Life support is at minimal levels. Either they're really disabled or their engineering is far better than we thought. It could be better than we thought, Threnkal added. Everything else about them has surprised us. Vokhtar considered this. He had chased the ship for days. It had embarrassed his fleet repeatedly. Now it floated helpless before him. Was it really this easy? Or was it another trick? Supreme Commander, his communications officer said. We're receiving a transmission from the human ship. Audio only. Their visual systems appear to be down. Let me hear it. Static crackled through the bridge. Then a voice came through. It was Day-Wan, and he sounded tired. Krevesh flagship, this is Captain Day-Wan. Our ship is severely damaged. We cannot repair it without external assistance. We request emergency aid under Galactic Maritime Law. If you cannot provide aid, please contact the nearest neutral station. Vokhtar smiled coldly. Open a channel. Channel open, sir. Captain Day-Wan, this is Supreme Commander Vokhtar. I will provide assistance. Prepare to be taken aboard my flagship. Your crew will be treated as prisoners of war. Your ship will be claimed as salvage. Do you agree to these terms? A long pause. Then Day-Wan replied, We have no choice. We agree, wise decision. Do not attempt anything foolish. We're in no condition to be foolish, Commander. Vokhtar ended the transmission. He turned to his officers. Bring them aboard. Full security. I want guards on every human at all times. Search them thoroughly. No weapons, no tools, no equipment. And scan their ship for any hidden systems or traps. Yes, Supreme Commander. 30 minutes later, Captain Day-Wan and his crew stood in the Eternal Dominion's main hangar bay. They were surrounded by armed Krevesh soldiers. Their hands were bound. They looked exhausted and defeated. Vokhtar walked through the hangar to inspect his prisoners. The humans were smaller than Krevesh. They looked weak and fragile. How had they caused so much trouble? He stopped in front of Day-Wan. The human captain met his eyes without fear. Interesting. You fought well, Vokhtar said, for humans. But now you are captured? Your tricks are over. Yes, Day-Wan replied quietly. I suppose they are. Take them to the detention cells. Keep them separated. I will question them individually. As the guards led the humans away, Threnkal approached Vokhtar. Sir, something feels wrong. They surrendered too easily. Their ship was disabled. They had no choice, but these are humans. They always have a choice. They always have a plan. Then we will be ready for it. Double the guards. Monitor their cells constantly. They are on my ship now. They cannot surprise us here. In detention cell 7, Taemin sat on a metal bench. His hands were no longer bound. The Krevesh had removed the restraints once he was locked inside. He looked around the cell carefully. Metal walls, one door, one camera in the corner. Very secure, he smiled. Security designed to hold traditional prisoners, not human engineers who had spent 2 days preparing for this exact situation. He stood up and stretched. Then he walked to the corner where 2 walls met. He pressed his hand against the metal in a specific pattern. 1 finger, then 2, then 3. Tap, tap, tap. In the next cell, Hana heard the tapping through the wall. She smiled and tapped back. The signal was clear. Everyone was ready. Taemin reached into his mouth and carefully removed a small object he had hidden inside his cheek. It looked like a tooth filling, but it was actually a sophisticated electronic device. The Krevesh security scan had detected it, but their computer identified it as medical equipment. Harmless. It wasn't harmless. He pressed it against the camera in his cell. The device emitted a pulse of electromagnetic energy. The camera's screen went dark for exactly 3 seconds, then came back on. But now it was showing a recording. A loop of Taemin sitting quietly on his bench. To anyone watching the monitors, nothing had changed. He moved quickly to the door. The lock was electronic, sophisticated by Krevesh standards, but Taemin had studied their systems during their previous encounters. He knew their security protocols. He knew their weaknesses. He used his device again. The door clicked open. 5 minutes later, all 45 crew members of the Indomitable Spirit were free. They moved through the Eternal Dominion's corridors like ghosts. Every camera they passed showed false images. Every guard they encountered was quietly knocked unconscious and hidden. Day-Wan led his team toward the main computer core. Hana led another team to the engineering section. Yuna took a small group to gather intelligence. Everyone knew their role. They had practiced this for hours during their journey to this moment. In the computer core, Taemin connected his device to the Krevesh systems. Lines of code flowed across the screen. He worked quickly, his fingers dancing across the interface. What are you doing? Day-Wan asked quietly. Creating chaos, Taemin replied. In about 10 minutes, every system on this ship is going to malfunction. Lights will flicker. Doors will open randomly. The artificial gravity will turn off and on. Communications will play music instead of transmissions. Nothing dangerous. Just embarrassing. Very, very embarrassing. And our escape? Already programmed. The main hangar bay doors will open on our command, and I'm downloading their complete tactical database. Every ship position, every defensive system, every secret route. This information will be very useful. You're enjoying this, Day One observed. Absolutely, Captain. On the bridge, Vokhtar was reviewing reports when the first malfunction occurred. The main viewing screen turned purple. Then it showed an image of a small Earth animal. A cat, according to the database. What is this? Vokhtar demanded. His tactical officer tried to fix it. The screen changed again. Now it showed text in human language. Thank you for your hospitality. We'll be leaving now. Regards, Captain Day One. The humans. Vokhtar shouted. Check the detention cells. Sir, the cameras show them still in their cells. Then send guards to physically verify. But before the guards could reach the detention level, more systems began failing. Lights flickered throughout the ship. Doors opened and closed randomly. The gravity turned off for 5 seconds, then back on. Officers floated helplessly, then crashed to the floor. Alarms rang everywhere. Not danger alarms. Different sounds, music, human music. A cheerful song about sunshine and happiness. It played from every speaker on the ship. Make it stop, Vokhtar ordered. We're trying, sir. The computer is not responding to commands. Supreme Commander. Another officer called out. The main hangar bay doors are opening. The human ship is powering up. That ship was disabled. Apparently not, sir. The indomitable spirit's engines came to life. All the damage disappeared. The fires went out. The hull repairs sealed themselves. It had all been an illusion. Perfect engineering combined with theater. The crew ran aboard. Day One was the last to enter. He turned and waved at the security cameras. Then he climbed aboard his ship. All crew aboard, Hana reported. Ready to depart. Take us out. Full speed. The indomitable spirit flew out of the hangar bay. The Eternal Dominion's weapons tried to track it, but the targeting systems were still malfunctioning. They fired at empty space while the human ship escaped cleanly. On the bridge of his flagship, Vokhtar stood in silence. His ship was in chaos. His crew was confused and embarrassed. The prisoners had escaped. And throughout it all, that cheerful human music continued playing. Threnkal approached carefully. Sir? Don't, Vokhtar said quietly. I was just going to say that I've never seen anything like this in my entire career. Neither have I. Dralvin was studying his computer. His expression was strange, almost like respect. Supreme Commander, they didn't just escape. They downloaded our tactical database. They know everything about our fleet positions, our defensive systems, our patrol routes. Everything. Vokhtar closed his eyes. Of course they did, and there's more, sir. They left a message in the system. It says they've transmitted all this information to the Galactic Council. Every species will know our military secrets, unless we agree to a peace conference. The bridge was silent except for that terrible, cheerful music. Finally, Vokhtar spoke. They got aboard our flagship. They freed themselves. They caused complete chaos. They stole our secrets. They escaped without injury. And they left us listening to music about sunshine. Yes. Sir, Threnkal confirmed. This is the most humiliating day of my career. Yes, sir. And the worst part is that they did it without killing anyone. They could have sabotaged life support. The indomitable spirit docked at Haven's Rest, a neutral space station on the border of multiple territories. The station was a place where different species could meet, trade, and resolve disputes. No weapons were allowed. No fighting. It was neutral ground, protected by ancient galactic law. Day One walked through the station's main corridor. Aliens of dozens of species stopped to stare at him. News traveled fast in space. Everyone had heard about the human ship that had embarrassed the mighty Krevesh fleet. He ignored the stares and made his way to the repair bay. His ship needed genuine repairs now. The past week had been hard on the systems. Tae-min was already there talking with the station's engineers. He turned when Day One approached. How long? Day One asked. 2 days minimum. Maybe 3. The stealth system needs complete recalibration. The weapons are overheated, and honestly, Captain, the crew needs rest more than the ship needs repairs. Agreed. Tell everyone they have 48 hours off duty. They've earned it, Tae-min smiled. They'll appreciate that. Though I doubt any of us will relax until we're far away from Krevesh space. About that, Day One said. I have a feeling the Krevesh will find us here. They wouldn't dare attack a neutral station. That would make every species in the galaxy their enemy. I don't think they'll attack. but I think they'll come. And when they do, we need to be ready for something different. Daewon was right. 12 hours later, the Krevesh 7th Fleet arrived at Haven's Rest. 20 warships surrounded the station. They didn't fire. They didn't threaten. They just sat there, weapons armed, watching. The station administrator, a nervous creature called a Felon, contacted both the Krevesh and the humans immediately. "This is a violation of neutral space," the Felon squeaked at Vokhtar. "You cannot blockade this station." "We are not blockading," Vokhtar replied calmly. "We are simply waiting. The human ship is harboring stolen military data. When they leave, we will pursue them. Until then, we remain here, but this is neutral territory. You're scaring my customers." "Then ask the humans to leave. We will follow them away from your station." Problem solved. The administrator switched to Daewon's channel. "Captain, please." "You must leave. The Krevesh are creating an impossible situation." "I understand your concern," Daewon said, "but my ship needs repairs. If we leave now, we'll be helpless against the Krevesh fleet. I'm invoking emergency repair rights under galactic law. We need at least 48 hours. 48 hours! The Krevesh will destroy my business in 48 hours. Then perhaps you should convince them to leave instead." In his ready room, Daewon gathered his senior officers. Hana, Taemin, and Yuna stood around a table displaying a map of the station and surrounding space. "This is exactly what I expected," Daewon said. "Vokhtar can't let us go after what happened on his flagship, but he also can't attack a neutral station, so he's trying to force us out." "It's working," Hana pointed out. "Every ship on this station is preparing to leave. No one wants to be here if fighting starts. Soon we'll be alone with the Krevesh." "Which means we need to change the game," Daewon said. "We need to make this about more than just us and them. We need to involve the entire galaxy." "How?" Taemin asked. "By broadcasting everything. Open channels. Let every species watch what happens here. Make this public." Yuna nodded slowly. "The Krevesh care deeply about honor and reputation. If the galaxy is watching, they can't act too aggressively. It would make them look like bullies." "Exactly," Daewon agreed. "But we need more than that. We need leverage. Real pressure. The tactical database," Hana said suddenly. "The information we stole from their flagship. If we threaten to release it publicly, they'll have to negotiate." "That would be a powerful threat," Yuna confirmed. "Every enemy of the Krevesh would have access to their military secrets. It would take them years to change all their defensive positions and protocols. So we offer them a deal," Daewon said. "We keep their secrets safe. They let us leave and agree to respect our borders. Everyone saves face, and will they accept?" Taemin asked. "They will if the alternative is worse. That's where the public broadcast comes in. We make sure everyone is watching when we make the offer. The Krevesh can't refuse without looking weak or unreasonable." "It's risky," Hana said. "If they call our bluff, we'd actually have to release the data. That might start a war." "It's not a bluff," Daewon replied. "I will release the data if I have to, but I don't think Vokhtar will let it get that far. He's smart. He's been learning. I think he understands now that fighting us is pointless." 3 hours later, Daewon sent a message on all open frequencies. Every ship within 10 light years could receive it. Every station. Every listening post. "This is Captain Daewon of the United Earth Navy to all vessels and stations. I am broadcasting a proposal to Supreme Commander Vokhtar of the Krevesh Empire. This message is being sent openly so that all species may witness what occurs here." He paused. Throughout the sector, aliens stopped what they were doing to listen. This was unprecedented. A single human ship challenging an entire empire. Publicly. "Supreme Commander Vokhtar, your fleet surrounds this neutral station in violation of galactic law. You claim we have stolen your military data. This is true. During our escape from your flagship, we obtained your complete tactical database. We have this information now." On the Eternal Dominion, Vokhtar listened with growing anger. This human was announcing his military secrets to everyone. "However," Daewon continued, "we do not wish to release this information. Doing so would destabilize the region and potentially cause conflict. We are not interested in starting wars. We are interested in peace. Therefore, I make this proposal. The Krevesh Empire will withdraw from Haven's Rest immediately. They will agree to recognize human territory and cease all aggressive actions toward human vessels. In exchange, we will return their tactical database and keep its contents secret. We will also agree to respect Krevesh territory and avoid future conflicts. This offer is valid for 6 hours. If no agreement is reached, the database will be transmitted to every major species in the galaxy. The choice is yours, Supreme Commander." Let the galaxy witness your decision. The transmission ended. Throughout the sector, reactions were immediate. Trading stations buzzed with gossip. Military analysts scrambled to assess the situation. Diplomatic channels lit up with messages. Everyone was talking about the bold human captain and what the Krevesh would do. On the Eternal Dominion, Foktar called an emergency meeting with his senior officers. "He's trapped us," Threnkal said. "If we attack the station, we violate galactic law and look like aggressors. If we let him go without agreement, we look weak. If we refuse his deal, our military secrets become public. He's given us only one real option," Dralvin added. "Accept the deal and save face. He's even framed it as a peace agreement rather than a surrender. Very clever. I will not negotiate with a human." Voktar slammed his fist on the table. "Sir," Threnkal said carefully, "the entire galaxy is watching. We have 6 hours to decide. If we refuse, every enemy of the Empire will have access to our defensive systems. Ships will die because of that information. Worlds might be lost. Is your pride worth that cost?" Voktar looked at his officers. He saw the truth in their eyes. They knew what he had to do. They were waiting for him to accept it. He had fought this human for a week. Every encounter had taught him something new. Humans didn't fight like other species. They didn't follow rules. They created situations where their enemies had no good choices. They won without traditional victory. And now, even in this final confrontation, they were offering peace. Not demanding surrender, not claiming victory, just offering a way for both sides to walk away with dignity. It was brilliant. It was infuriating. It was very, very human. "Open a channel," Voktar said finally. "Make it public like his message. Let everyone hear this." "Channel open, sir. Captain Day 1, this is Supreme Commander Voktar. I have considered your proposal. The Krevesh Empire agrees to your terms. We will withdraw from Haven's Rest. We will recognize human territory. We expect the same respect from humanity. The tactical database will be returned to us and its contents will remain secret." He paused. This next part was difficult, but necessary. "Furthermore, I acknowledge that humanity has proven itself to be a formidable presence in this region of space. The Krevesh Empire looks forward to peaceful relations with your people. This confrontation is ended." Across the sector, beings of dozens of species listened in amazement. The mighty Krevesh Empire had just backed down from a single human ship. It was historic. It was incredible. It would change everything. On the indomitable spirit, Day 1 allowed himself a small smile. "Prepare the data transfer. Make sure we keep a copy just in case, but send them their database back as promised." "Yes, sir," Hana replied. She was grinning. "Captain, we just negotiated a peace treaty. Without any backup. Without any support. Just us." "Not just us," Day 1 corrected. "The entire galaxy was our backup. Public opinion. The power of reputation. Sometimes those weapons are more effective than missiles." Taemin laughed. "Dr. Yuna, you were right. We confused them. We frustrated them. And finally we gave them a way out that didn't hurt their pride too much." 6 months had passed since the confrontation at Haven's Rest. The story of the indomitable spirit had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every species had heard about the small human ship that had outsmarted the mighty Krevesh Empire. Captain Day 1 stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the stars. They were back on patrol, monitoring the border between human and Krevesh space. But things were different now. The border was peaceful. Both sides respected it. "Captain," Hana called out, "we're receiving a transmission. It's from a Krevesh ship." Dewan felt his crew tense. Old habits died hard. "Identify the vessel. It's a patrol ship. Destroyer class. They're requesting communication with you personally, sir." "Put them through," the view screen activated. Dewan was surprised to see a familiar face. Sub-Commander Threnkal, who had served under Voktar during their confrontation. "Captain Day 1, Threnkal said. His voice was respectful, not hostile. "I am now Commander Threnkal, in charge of border security for this sector. Congratulations on your promotion, Commander. What can I do for you?" "I wanted to inform you that we will be conducting military exercises in this region over the next 3 days. Standard defensive drills. I am notifying you as a courtesy, so there are no misunderstandings." Dewan smiled slightly. 6 months ago, the Krevesh would never have warned humans about their activities. This was progress. "Thank you for the notice, Commander. We will observe from a distance. And please know that we are also conducting patrols. Standard routes only. Understood. May I ask you something, Captain? Of course. Supreme Commander Vokhtar is now an instructor at our military academy. He teaches a course about unconventional warfare. He uses your tactics as examples. I studied under him before receiving this command. I wanted to ask if humans would be interested in joint training exercises, not combat, just learning from each other. Daewon was genuinely surprised. The Kravesh, who had been so rigid in their traditions, were now asking to learn human methods. I think that could be arranged. I'll need to get approval from my superiors, but I believe they would be interested. Excellent. I look forward to it. Threnkel out. The screen went dark. Daewon turned to find his entire bridge crew staring at him. Did that really just happen? Taemin asked. The Kravesh want to train with us. Times change, Dr. Yuna said. She looked pleased. We showed them something new. Now they want to understand it. This is how enemies become allies. Through respect and understanding. Captain, Hana said. I'm also detecting another ship approaching. Different signature. Not Kravesh. Identify. It's a Galactic Council ship, medical frigate. They're broadcasting a distress signal. Their engines are failing. Taemin, can we help them? The engineer studied the data. Yes, sir. It looks like a simple plasma regulator failure. I can fix it in about an hour. Do it. Hana, inform them we're coming to assist. As they moved to help the disabled ship, Daewon reflected on how much had changed. Before their confrontation with the Kravesh, humans were relatively unknown in this part of space. Now they were recognized, respected, even sought out for cooperation. 2 hours later, after Taemin had repaired the council ship, Daewon received an unexpected message. It was from Earth, from Admiral Park, the commander of the entire human fleet in this sector. Captain Daewon, the admiral said. His face was stern but not angry. Your report about the Kravesh incident was very interesting. Some people think you took unnecessary risks. Others think you prevented a war. I'm in the second group, thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. Because of your actions, every alien species is now watching humans very carefully, some with respect, some with fear, some with both. Do you understand what that means? It means we can't make mistakes, sir. Exactly. You've set a standard. Now every human ship needs to live up to it. We need to be smart, creative, and ethical. We need to win without being cruel. We need to be strong without being aggressive. Can you do that? We'll do our best, sir. Good, because I'm promoting you to commander. And I'm assigning you to train other captains in unconventional tactics. Share what you learned. Teach others how to think like you did. We need more officers who can solve problems creatively. Daewon felt a mix of pride and responsibility. What about the indomitable spirit? What about my crew? They'll come with you. Your ship is being upgraded. New systems, better weapons, stronger shields. But most importantly, you'll continue patrolling this sector. You've become a symbol, Daewon. The ship that stood up to the Kravesh. Use that reputation wisely. I will, sir. After the call ended, Daewon gathered his crew. They assembled in the ship's common room, all 45 of them. They looked tired but happy. They had been through something extraordinary together. I have news, Daewon said. We're getting upgrades. And I've been promoted to commander. But more importantly, you all have been recognized for what you did. Each of you will receive commendations. And each of you will have the option to transfer to other ships if you want. Hana spoke up immediately. With respect, sir, I'm not going anywhere. This crew works together perfectly. We've proven that. Agreed, Taemin added. I've customized every system on this ship. I'm not starting over on another vessel. I believe we make a good team, Dr. Yuna said. Where else would I find such interesting situations to study? One by one, every crew member voiced their agreement. They were staying together. Daewon felt genuine emotion. These people had trusted him through impossible situations. They had followed his orders even when those orders seemed crazy. They deserved his honesty. Thank you, he said simply. All of you. What we did out there changed things. Not just for us, but for all humans in space. We showed the galaxy who we are. Not the strongest species. Not the most advanced. But maybe the most adaptable. The most creative. The ones who refuse to give up even when everything looks hopeless. That's the human way, Hana said with a grin. Never fight fair when you can fight smart. Everyone laughed. It was true. Humans had never been the biggest or the fastest. But throughout history, They had always been the ones who found new solutions, who thought outside the rules, who won by changing the game itself. 3 weeks later, the indomitable spirit received another unexpected visitor. A small Krivesh shuttle requested permission to dock. Dewan granted it, curious about who would come alone to a human ship. He met the visitor in the docking bay. It was Vokhtar. The former Supreme Commander looked different. He wore a simple uniform now, not the elaborate armor of a fleet commander. His expression was calm, almost peaceful. "Captain Dewan," Vokhtar said. "Or should I say Commander now? Congratulations and thank you. And you? I heard you're teaching now." "Yes, it's different but important. I teach young Krivesh officers about you, about humans, about how warfare is changing." "What do you tell them?" Vokhtar smiled slightly. "I tell them that we fought the most frustrating enemy in our history. You never did what we expected. You turned our strengths into weaknesses. You used our traditions against us. And in the end you won without destroying us. That last part is important. Why? Because you could have. When you had our tactical database, you could have released it to our enemies. It would have crippled the Empire. But you didn't. You gave us a way to keep our honor. That showed wisdom, not just cleverness," Dewan nodded. "We didn't want to destroy the Krivesh. We just wanted to be left alone. And now we respect that, which is why I'm here. I want to ask you something." "Go ahead. Would you be willing to come to our academy, to teach alongside me, show our students how humans think? It would be good for both our species." Dewan considered this. A few months ago, such a thing would have been impossible. Now it seemed natural. "I'll need to discuss it with my superiors. But personally, I think it's a good idea." "Good. I'll arrange the details." Vokhtar paused, then extended his hand in the human gesture of greeting. "You taught me something important, Commander. That the best victory is the one where everyone survives to learn from it." Dewan shook his hand. "And you taught me something too. That even the most rigid enemy can learn and change. That's worth more than any military victory." After Vokhtar left, Dewan returned to his bridge. His crew was already back at their stations, monitoring space as always. Everything looked normal, peaceful. "Commander," Hana said, "I'm detecting a new contact entering the sector. Unknown configuration. Should we investigate?" Dewan looked at the sensor data. Another unknown ship. Another potential threat. Another opportunity to show the galaxy what humans could do. "Yes," he said. "Take us in. Standard approach. Let's see who our new friends are." As the indomitable spirit changed course, Dewan felt ready for whatever came next. His ship was stronger. His crew was experienced. And most importantly, they had proven something to themselves and to the galaxy. Humans might not be the biggest species. They might not be the oldest or the most advanced. But they were survivors, innovators, problem solvers. They didn't fight the way others expected. They didn't follow the rules everyone else followed. And that made them dangerous in the best possible way. Throughout the galaxy, in academies and military headquarters, in trading posts and diplomatic stations, beings of hundreds of species were learning a new lesson. When you saw a human ship, you didn't ask if you could defeat it.